welcome to the Bureau of EMS, Dr. Roth, Medical Director for the City of Pittsburgh, and our guest from the American Heart Association. I believe last year we were fortunate enough to obtain the silver rating. This year, unless I'm wrong, we've obtained the gold rating.
Gold plus.
Gold plus? Well, that's even better yet. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to Kelly from the American Heart Association, and she can explain to you what the rating means and what great things that the men and women of City Pittsburgh Bureau of EMS and the medical direction coming from the Center for Emergency Medicine has done for the citizens of Pittsburgh. Kelly?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you for the warm welcome. My name is Kelly Macheska, and I'm the Vice President of Quality Systems Improvement. And I'd also like to invite up Executive Director Deb Banks up to the podium just to tell you a little bit about this prestigious award and to recognize Pittsburgh EMS. So the American Heart Association recognizes the critical life-saving roles that first responders and EMS providers provide for the overall success of STEMI heart attack care systems of care. The correct training of the EMS professionals and these providers to rapidly identify this type of STEMI heart attack, which is the worst type of heart attack with an ST elevation, and have that prompt response, and then to activate not only that, but the early response of hospital personnel is essential. As an EMS agency that delivers this fine education in the STEMI identification, they also provide a critical access to the 12 lead ECG machines that develops these protocols that work specifically with the guidelines and the recommendations, and those are from the American College of Cardiology and also the American Heart Association guideline recommendations. The City of Pittsburgh's EMS is driving quality improvement in the care of outcomes of your heart attack patients in the region. Beyond the basic functions of high quality STEMI systems of care, City of Pittsburgh EMS is a part of an elite group of pre-hospital agencies in the United States focusing not only on high functioning but also high quality heart attack care. City of Pittsburgh joins one of 497 EMS agencies across the U.S., and it is one of 57 agencies in Pennsylvania to receive this distinction and are receiving the American Heart Association's 2018 Mission Lifeline Performance Quality Improvement Award. Today we are celebrating the lives saved because of the hard work and dedication from the City of Pittsburgh EMS and all of your hospital partners. This community is served by the City of Pittsburgh EMS should be very proud of the pre-hospital care and the professionals of the region and the communities that it has served. I'd like to just make a special acknowledgement to Chief Romano and also Mark Pinchak for being instrumental in the development of the quality improvement work around STEMI. And just saying from the American Heart Association standpoint, they've also led across not only Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, and Delaware, the Great Rivers affiliate of the American Heart Association. They have shared their quality improvement ideas, initiatives, and have led by example. So this is kudos to you, and thank you for your hard work and dedication. Today, on behalf of the American Heart Association and the volunteers, I would like to present the City of Pittsburgh EMS with the American Heart Association's Mission Lifeline 2018 Gold EMS Performance Improvement Achievement Award. Congratulations on your achievement. And then just to tell you a little bit about the award is over a 24-month period. So Chief Pinchak went ahead and looked at data on all the heart attack patients within the community over a 2-year period, and they had to score at least a 75% or higher on all patients, all times. So this is really a truly great way and a testimonial to the hard work that you do each and every day. So we thank you for your continued support and congratulations. Thank you.
To the Chief, please.
Chief Romano, thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good.
All right, I have to say a few words. They can hand me this, but it's the men and women in the street, all the public safety services that help the people that respond. And as Mark Pinchak was mentioned, Division Chief and our training chief, and his lead team have been instrumental, and this is amazing. And we're going to continue this, right? Is there platinum?
Yes? No, gold class, gold class.
So we have to continue to stay at this level.
We're going to walk off now.
Mark Pinchuk. Mark Pinchuk, say a few words. Come on.
Thanks, Chief. I just want to thank everyone that's involved in this project. When the AHA first came to me to discuss us enrolling in this program, I kind of balked at it. I said, well, we only really control a small piece of this pie. It's truly a system you have to develop. So the good thing about this program, it really forces you to develop a system of care. We had to develop in-house care bundles and protocols for our people to follow in conjunction with our medical direction. We had to do a lot of training and quality assurance in-house. And then we were meeting our metrics in-house. We had to go and work with all of our hospital partners and all of the local hospital systems and suburban agencies to build this unified system of care to achieve these outcomes for our patients. So I want to thank, I said, everyone involved, and also want to recognize some members of our quality improvement team that are here that lead this effort, of Crew Chief James Lutowski, Crew Chief John Mooney, and Crew Chief Adam Palmer. They're part of our quality improvement team that help me with these projects and actually go out and help us with implementation of these strategies. So like I said, it's a true team effort, and I want to thank everyone who's been involved in the process.
On behalf of the people of the City of Pittsburgh, first I want to thank our paramedics and the EMTs that you're training as well. I was told the EMTs, it's all the way down to the level of the EMTs being a part of this system. What does it mean for the City of Pittsburgh? It means that if you're in need of cardiac care, you will get the best trained professional service in the world. And it's a partnership that we work proudly with our local hospitals in order to assure from the moment that that call is made to the moment that you're able to survive and be back with your loved ones, Pittsburgh can provide you with care that no one else can top. To the American Heart Association, thank you for providing us an opportunity to be able to measure the quality of service that we provide to the people of Pittsburgh and the visitors to the City of Pittsburgh. The American Heart Association creates standards by which cardiac care is judged and also is given the opportunity to be recognized. And it's very important to understand that emergency medical care was created here in Pittsburgh with the first professional paramedics coming from the City of Pittsburgh, and that we continue to excel in this field as not only a recognized industry leader, but also as a place where medics from around the country and around the world are trained. This will go very well with the plans for a new training facility for all of our public services and the opportunity then to help to train well beyond the borders of Allegheny County and an opportunity for training that would be provided at the highest professional level for those that take care of the people of Western Pennsylvania. So on behalf of the people of the City of Pittsburgh, thanks again for your service. Thanks for your professionalism. And to the American Heart Association, thank you for creating standards that we can work to reach and excel.
Thank you.
Do you have anything to
Dr. Roth, do you want to say a few words? I think that Pittsburgh is one of the unique EMS services that we actually have MDs, doctors, responding with the paramedics out in and the EMTs out in the field. So Dr. Roth, who has been medical director for how many years now? Many years. But and actually I volunteered with him back in the 80s, back in Wilkins Churchill. So Dr. Roth.
I just want to echo what's been said. This is really a system, and working with the hospitals who keep us on the cutting edge and Pittsburgh EMS who wants to be on the cutting edge, we really increased survival from cardiac arrest, different than a heart attack, from when I started from 3% to 18%. And that means many, many, many more people going home to be with their loved ones to have great lives. With respect to STEMIs or heart attacks, working with Mark, we have a fantastic system where our paramedics can activate the hospital's cath lab, probably something unheard of 8, 10 years ago, and now it's accepted. And it's really a credit to our field providers and Mark, who's been pushing us. Thanks for the Heart Association for recognizing us and for keeping Mark busy out of my hair by making him jump through all kinds of hoops. Thanks.
Thank you.
Is there any questions?
Can somebody put into context what Kelly said in layman's terms? I understand it means you saved a lot of lives, but do you have any numbers or anything that,
Yeah, so basically the
I need
metric.
you in front of the mic, please, sir.
You mean, sorry? Okay. Yeah, so basically the metric we're held to is we need to be able to identify all patients that are potentially having this heart attack. It's called an STEMI or ST elevation MI, and you can read that on an EKG. There's some heart attacks you can't read on EKG and you can't confirm them until you get blood work later at the hospital. So what we have to do is acquire EKGs on anyone with potential cardiac symptoms, analyze those EKGs, pick out the ones that look like they're a STEMI, and then do the appropriate activation and patient care procedures. So everyone has to get aspirin, everyone has to get the cardiac catheterization lab activated. And the metric we get held to as part of this program is from the time our paramedics get on scene until the time that patient's up in the cardiac catheterization lab in the hospital and has that vessel opened, has to be 90 minutes. So it really has to be a system-wide thing, because if we just do our part and we don't activate the hospital or the hospital doesn't believe us, that patient doesn't make it through the cath lab. And what happens in the city here, a lot of times is we actually bypass the emergency department and they'll send us straight up to the catheterization lab. So that allows us to terminate the heart attack, 40 minutes after we arrive there.
So from the time you get on the scene, you have 90 minutes.
90 minutes to have the patient.
Diagnose this
Right.
worst kind of heart attack that there is, and then get that patient to the hospital.
Well, not only get them to the hospital, but get them up into the cardiac catheterization lab, and then the interventional cardiologist open that vessel up. So you have to, to terminate the heart
But there's
attack.
other standards, whenever they arrive at the location where the patient called 911, they actually have to get the 12-lead ECG machine on the patient, so then they have to have that reading, and then they have to transmit it back. So a lot of things have happened behind the scenes, and then they transmit it for the early activation
Right.
then to the hospitals, but they're being even judged on those time metrics, how quick they get into the house, how quick they assess the patient, identify that life-threatening potential heart attack victim or patient, and then know the appropriate tools and resources and what to activate and how to do upon it. So I do have some specifics related to the percentage of patients and some of the other measures, but that's the real component.
Right.
Is it's all time oriented, because we realize, time is muscle, and heart that doesn't have good perfusion, oxygenation, then it loses, and then that tissue can die. So that's one of the important parts about it, is that early activation time really matters. So time saves patients' lives.
Yeah, and to follow up on that, the metric we put in for that is from the time our crew gets there, they have to acquire an EKG, read the EKG, transmit it, and activate the catheterization lab in the first 10 minutes. So they've got a lot of stuff they have to do in 10 minutes. Then other ancillary care items that the patient needs to get aspirin, that improves their survival. Other care metrics too, as far as making sure they're getting pain control, IV access, that kind of stuff. So we have a lot of stuff that has to happen in the first 10 and then the first 20 minutes on scene. So we develop what we call patient care bundles. It defines an order of priority, what has to happen, and what the time standard for that is.
Well, how do you judge them? Is it based on the number of cases you see, or?
So the metric is based on 75% of the ST elevation MIs we see that meet their criteria. So generally in Pittsburgh, we have about 60 of those per year. Now, we see lots of people with chest pain. We see several thousand people a year having chest pain, but out of that, we have 60 people that kind of meet these criteria. We have other people that are in higher heart attacks, other things that don't get measured in this metric, but taking really good care of the really sick patients, make sure we're taking really good care of all the chest pain patients. So it's really improved our care across the board.
So 75% of the 60 you see each year.
These
are these STEMIs?
The STEMIs, yeah. So last year we're about 76%. So far this year we're about 92% so far this year. So each year we've gone up since participating in this program.
You say 92?
92 through the end of June. We were at 92%.
Doc, you said something about the a 3% to 18%, is that, you say survival rate?
Correct.
Yes, that's for cardiac arrest. So sometimes people use heart attack and cardiac arrest interchangeably. So cardiac arrest, obviously, heart stop beating. And it's separate from this program, although there's some metrics for cardiac arrest care that do fall under this, and that gives us that plus for taking really good care of post-cardiac arrest patients. But yeah, our survival, we're kind of lucky being affiliated with the University of Pittsburgh. They do a lot of basic research into cardiac arrest management and post-arrest care. So we kind of adapt stuff out of that several years before it makes it into the national care standards, and we implement a lot of stuff. So our survival for last year was about 18% survival to discharge. And like I said, Dr. Rupp, 10 years ago, it was very unusual for someone to survive cardiac arrest. Now it's routine. We deliver almost half of the patients alive to the hospital after a cardiac arrest, about 40%. And out of the total, about 18% survive. So those are way above the national median.
This one that you have received the award over, the heart never stops beating?
No, this is for,
STEMI.
yeah, people are having a heart attack, it doesn't stop. Now, there's a few that slip into there where, hey, they suffer a cardiac arrest and we resuscitate them right away, and they still have that opportunity to go through the cath lab. So there's a few that slip in there, but that's not actually the metric. But there are, for the plus on the award, there are some metrics for how we take care of patients after cardiac arrest, how the pulse has started. So, did we get an EKG on that person? Did they go to an appropriate center? That kind of stuff. So there are some sub-metrics that fall under that.
Now, Kelly, did you say Pittsburgh EMS is one of 497 EMS agencies across the country that got this award? Mm-hmm. Okay, and
That got an American Heart Association STEMI award. Out of the Penn State of Pennsylvania, there's only one of 57 that got this award.
Do you know how many there are total?
There's 55 agencies in Allegheny County alone. So
I'd say roughly, is there close to 1,500 in the state?
yeah, I would say that probably even be a low estimate, to be honest with you. Yeah, Allegheny County, I think, believe there's like 55 separate EMS agencies at the moment. In the region, I think we have over, I know EMS West probably has at least 200 services over there
55.
in Allegheny County, yeah.
And how long have we been doing this?
When did the program, we started looking at numbers for this program in 2015 is when we started looking at that. I don't know when the program actually began.
This is the third year for the awards.
Okay, so our first year we didn't qualify. We came in a little below the metric, and then the last 2 years we've qualified. Some of it was a learning curve for us, implementing new things, find out with these guys going out, finding what was working, what wasn't, what we had to adjust, and then targeting strategies to optimize our care.
And the big thing is education, not only education, the professional staff, but the first responders, EMS, but also hospital personnel as well. And then, as Dr. Roth pointed out, it's very important to have the hospitals accept the 12 lead ECGs that they're sending for that early activation, because then they must activate the cath labs, get the doctors in the cath labs all ready to receive the patient without ever physically laying hands on the patient. They're just going by the 12 lead ECG.
Yes, I remember in the early days when we first started getting 12 lead, we'd come in with STEMIs. They'd look, okay, yeah, that's kind of cool. We have to get a real EKG now. And then the real EKG would show the same thing. And then, oh, okay, he's having a heart attack. So in the early days of this, they didn't believe anything we did. Now there's that comfort level, the quality assurance, and that kind of stuff that we work pretty seamlessly with the facilities now.
And the other part is feedback. I know that's one of the other things we work really hard to do is to provide the feedback. A lot of the EMS folks, they get report of how well their patient, it's unidentified information, however, but they at least know the success that, yes, they were able to open the vessel and they have 100% perfusion again. So that's the other piece is
Right.
that we're providing feedback, which really is a morale booster, because I think it feels that you're really making a difference, and that's why we're here. We're saving patients' lives. So every patient, every time, that's what our goal is.
Yep.
So when you say open the vessel, you're talking about a blood or
An occluded vessel. So
A
something,
coronary artery. So they go in the cath lab and they'll shoot a little wire through it to open it up, put a stent in to keep it open. And then once you've reperfused the heart, you've kind of terminated the heart attack at that point. You've reperfused the heart muscle.
What do you see in the future with all this?
Like I said, we'll keep building the system of care. Right now, the optimal thing that happens or everything works right is the patient bypasses the emergency room, goes straight to the cath lab. That happens about half the time, so we'll look at more of that. There's some new research coming now. We're going to be involved with at the university, looking at better care for heart attack patients. One's called ischemic conditioning, which is a pretty exciting study. It's coming down the road we're going to try to do to protect the heart during a heart attack. Doing some point-of-care blood testing to identify enzymes, these patients that don't have an EKG change yet, but they have early heart damage, and you can identify that from proteins in the blood. So as the point-of-care testing for field providers gets better, that's probably going to be a couple of the next advances.
So the better your group gets, the more the doctors trust you and everybody gets.
Yeah, I think the system gets better, and as the system gets better, then we have more opportunities to do research and get involved in more stuff that we can push forward to the patient.
But the big thing is public education. You have to make sure that you identify and activate. So by calling 911 when you're having those heart attack signs and symptoms is essential, and that's really a true message, is to call 911 to have the activation so you get this great quality care.
Yeah, unfortunately, we get you through the cath lab in 9 minutes, that's great, but if you sat at home for 6 hours deciding what to do, I mean, that damage is done. We can't fix damage that's already done. So if you wait too long to call, you're still going to have heart damage and potentially heart failure and stuff like that. So, excuse me. So the earlier people call symptoms, the better, and less damage they'll have to the heart.